This is a sock toe chimney. The sock is red, the chimney is yellow, and there's a very bright and clear colour contrast between the two. I've tied on my yarn to begin my chimney at the side of the sock, and I've knit 5 or 6 rounds until the chimney is tall enough that we can hold it down inside the sock. So to begin, tuck your chimney down inside. And then you can see the colour illustrated guide to grafting. You can see where the yellow stitches intersect with the red stitches, and we can use those as a guide to how we're going to graft this sock together. We're going to use a third colour. Normally you would use the red, you'd use the sock colour, but we'll use a third colour just for contrast. Cut about 15 inches of yarn to graft the toe with, and line the sock up by eye at the sides. So you just fiddle around with it till the sock toe looks the way you want it to. Hold it from inside, hold it like a puppet, not like a sandwich. And then starting somewhere in the middle, we're going to copy this yellow stitch, or you can think of it as sewing around the base of a red V. Pull through about half of your sewing yarn and then do the pinch test. Can you see the red stitch looks happy? If I had gone where the yellow yarn doesn't go, so can you see that the yellow yarn doesn't go in here and it doesn't go across there, and that would be like the base of an A. And if I pull that now, can you see the dreaded 11s? So there is the 11, those two red sides of the same stitch get pulled together and form that nasty pair of parallel lines. That will come undone because you've sewn around both sides of the same stitch. Here we've gone into this stitch and out of the neighbouring stitch. Now a stitch comes back and forms a sort of V shape, so we need to go vertically down and back a little bit to the right. So that leads me to think I should sew my next stitch here, and my yellow yarn comes down and goes from this red stitch to this one. So I'm duplicating the yellow, or in this case I'm sewing around the top of an A. And you see the A looks happy too, the stitch looks happy, so we're correct on both sides. It's possible to be in the correct position on one side but the wrong position on the other. We go back to where we came from. Around the base of the next stitch we're just copying that yellow stitch. Even if you're great at grafting toes straight off the needle, this is a useful technique to learn to use. And it doesn't matter if you sew right to left or left to right, it works in either direction. So you always go back to the loop you exited, copy the next waste yarn stitch, and you adjust these stitches to the same size and shape as the rest of the stitches in the knitting. So come back to where you came from, and you're trying not to split the plies. This toe has been grafted quite a lot of times, so it practically would do itself. When you get to the corner, it's not quite so easy to see what's going on, so you can shove your finger up underneath and stretch things out and keep on copying the waste yarn. If I stopped right now, this red stitch would be free. So all I need to do is go into here one more time, up into this neighbouring stitch, and then I have one strand of yarn through every column of stitches. So this column is secure on the tail. This column next door to it is also secure. Now if I'd made a mistake with my sewing and my sock wasn't lining up nicely, I can just pull this out. And that's another one of the advantages of this method, that your stitches are all secure until you decide to take that chimney out. When you get to this position in the corner, stop stitching. It's very tempting to keep on stitching, but stop. Turn the work around, put your needle onto the other end of the yarn and finish the other side first. The other side is exactly the same. When we turn it upside down, you wouldn't know which way we started. So you go back to the loop you came from, copy the next yellow stitch, and continue the sequence of stitches. Even if your sock pattern says to finish the sock in the centre of the sole, finish at the side so you don't have a joggle in the middle of your graft. And these stitches always stay that same size and shape as the rest of the sock. Don't pull it tight, that way your toe has elasticity. Stop stitching when you get one strand through these outer 2 columns of stitches. That's far enough. Now you can remove your sock toe chimney. Check your graft, and if those were red stitches, you really couldn't tell that there was any change of direction or anything strange was happening underneath your thumbs. The columns of stitches should run unbroken. So check it, and then you're ready to remove your chimney. And can you see that we've got green twins for all the yellow stitches? The only place there won't be a twin is at the 2 sides. And now you remove the chimney and take each of those green tails through to the private side of the work, which will neaten up those little uncomfortable stitches in the corner. They'll pop inside and give you beautifully rounded corners to your toes. You've got 3 tails to darn in from your sock, the 2 from the stitching and 1 from the sock. Just zigzag them on the surface of the sole on the diagonal. I would zig and then I would zag and maybe zig again, because sock tails should be darned in more securely than tails in other situations, because the wool is often superwash. And once you've threaded your tail yarn through, give it a little stretch. To reinsert the elasticity into the tail. And you'll be surprised that's hardly visible on the public side at all. And I do all my darning into the sole section of the sock. I'm not going to attempt to remove this chimney because I think it's permanently bonded in there because this has been grafted so many times, but simply unpick the bound off edge and it will release your stitches.